What's up, guys? I got a couple dates to plug real quick before we start today's episode. On Wednesday, January 17th, I will be at Helium Comedy Club for the Gateway City Roast League. It's a roast battle. A bunch of comics from all over the city are going to get together and say some truly horrible things to each other. It's going to be a lot of fun. You should come to that. And then on the 21st, which is that next Sunday, I will be at Westport Funny Bone for the Boulder Dash Showcase put on by Jack Wright. He's been on the podcast before. Come out, check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Grab some tickets. All tickets are available on the Helium and Funny Bone website. So make sure you check that out. What's up, guys? Today, my guest is Chris Sear. He is a comedian based out of St. Louis, Missouri, and you can catch him touring clubs and colleges all over the country. He's a great dude, and we had a lot of fun. We sat down for almost 2 hours, so enjoy the episode. When I started doing stand-up, I had this nervous tick of like I would shake because I was so scared, and I would started putting my hands in my pockets, and then I realized like my hand was shaking so much it almost looked like I was like touching myself. So I was like, I got to stop that. So then I started grabbing the mic stand, and then I noticed that anytime I would tell a joke and it didn't work, I would pick the mic stand up and just boom, boom. And it was almost like I was like resetting my own brain. That's nice. Like just this nervous tick of like boom, boom, like that. And I'm like, I gotta stop doing that. I gotta get it together. But yeah, do you have any nervous ticks when you first started, or like?
No, when I first started, man, I had all kinds of ticks. I was nothing but bad habits. I still have ticks. I spoke too fast. Everybody does, I think, but I mean, I spoke really fast. Like I was coked up every time I was on a microphone. Just you're starting and you're like that attitude of I've got 4 minutes, I got to get as many words out as possible. So that was me. I was a lot of which I think again when you're first starting you don't know your own material.
Everybody has pet words,
right?
You know, those words that they go back to. And there was someone, oh man, well, maybe it's good. I can't remember who it is. But there was someone who I counted one time, and during a 25-minute set, they said, you know what I mean? 67 times.
Yeah.
And I was like, they don't even know they're doing it.
Right.
And
that's a black comic thing, too, sometimes. Know what I'm saying?
Know what I'm saying?
Like when they're starting out, like that's the version of the white person saying like every other sentence. Which right now that's the one I'm trying to break. Not that I say like between sentences as a pause, but I've started saying instead of I said this, I was like, eh. Like I've been listening to my feature set right now for this, which has a lot of stuff for this new hour I've got, and I do like it is every time I'm doing like a dialogue bit, it's like I was like this, and then I was like that, and he was like that. And it's like, what's his name? Michael Pena in Ant-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about a heist. And he was like, you got to get down in the gutter, and then you got to get in the safe. And I was like this. And he was like, I'm like, oh, man, I picked that up. So I'm trying to break that. But it used to be things like, that's awesome, or that's beautiful, or just like always feeling like you had to qualify something you just said. Like a Trumpism kind of thing. Like, it's a very beautiful joke.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't need to do that. Like, there it goes. Figuring out.
I do it all the time. Especially as soon as I tell people, like, what not to do. And, like, if somebody comes to me for advice and they're like, oh, well, don't ever do this, don't ever do this. The next set, without fail, I will do it, and then immediately lock eyes with that person and be like, we're all learning.
What are you going to
do? Whoops.
There's the difference between how you talk on stage versus how you talk in real life. In real life, I talk like a burnout stoner sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Not because I am, but because that's just the media I've consumed up to this point.
Well, also, when you're on stage, everything you have, I mean, unless it's a brand new bit, has been ironed out. And I feel like you're like me. I think, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're probably one of those people. No, I don't know about that. But you go over your set with like a fine-tooth comb, and it's like it's not only just word conservation, but like what order the words come in matters to you. So it's on stage, everything. I mean, you just glide through a sentence, but then in real life, I'm like, and well, sometimes I mean, what like that? Like I overthink everything.
You could always tell when I'm sneaking new material into my like pro set because it's when I start not knowing where a sentence is going halfway through, right? Because I am king of, if I'm working material on stage, which I try not to do anymore, but you can't resist it sometimes. If I'm working material on stage, I will 100% just be, it's a whitewater raft, right? And there are rocks everywhere, and you're just trying to steer from the rocks. And if you watch, you could see me going, this sentence is going towards a rock. Let's get over. Let's move over. And then sometimes I say things I would never say in real life just because it pivots. It pivots, and it won't end up in the final joke, but for that one show, it got me out of a hole I was digging. So, but everything else, it's all scripted. Like I'm off the cuff some, but I'm a narcissist. I like my writing.
I want to do the joke. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what I get so excited when I have a new bit to try out. Yeah. You know, and I don't want to do it like you said, like on a paid show, you're like, okay, I need to play the hits. I need to play, you know, the side A or whatever of your bits. But at the same time, you get so excited to like, oh, I haven't gotten to try this in front of a full house yet. I haven't got, you know, like, because you try it out at a couple open mics in front of 6-7 people, and you're like, okay, I think it might work. I think this might be something. And then sometimes I just can't resist.
Yeah. And open mics are bad for judging material. Like, open mics are for getting the mouthfeel, like to use a cooking word, the mouthfeel of the umani, what is it, umani? No. Whatever that fancy word people use for, like, how something tastes and feels in your mouth. That's what an open mic is. It's like, this joke feels natural coming out of my mouth. This is how I would say it to where it doesn't sound like I'm performing. And then you don't know how it's going to do in front of people from an open mic because it's a bunch of comics who are just like, oh, man, I think he's going to say pussy.
Oh, yay, he did.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it goes every time.
Not to shit on comics, but we're terrible audiences.
Yeah.
We laugh at the wrong moments, so you can't you can't be like, oh, that got a laugh. I'm going to do that part if you got to laugh at an open mic because they're probably laughing because it doesn't work. Or it's super out of character for you.
I was just about to say that. Just because a comic is if you tell a joke and no one laughs, but then you hear a comic laugh, he's not laughing at the joke.
No.
He's laughing at how bad the joke didn't work. That's what he's, you know what I mean?
Or if it's me, they're laughing at, I could have made that work.
Yeah.
I would have done it this way, right? Do you do that? Do you sit in the back and every time a joke fails, you're like,
every
I
time,
can do that.
Every time. And I don't know how to talk to people about it. I don't know how to approach, because sometimes like I hear a joke and I'm like, I would word it like this. And I write it down and then I'm like, is this going to be annoying if I come and give this to you? Like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy, like, but at the same time, I kind of am like, this would be a good tag. This would be a good tag.
You should be able to take notes. That's my role.
Yes, you should always be able to accept notes. You
trying
know
to figure out what I'm rustling here to make that noise. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Distracting myself. Anyway,
I love it. Do you like it when you give someone a tag and they use it and then keep it in their set?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's the greatest feeling. Like I don't want any credit for it at all. I just love. I'm like, oh look,
that's like tutoring a kid and watching them go to Harvard. Like, right? It's great. Every time you see it, it's like, that's mine. That's mine.
Yeah, I did that. I had a part of that. Yeah.
I haven't had it yet where my tags ended up in a famous comics set yet, but I will give.
Oh, I haven't
comics
either.
I'm working with. I'll give them tags.
I was talking about a tag I gave Ronaldo that he did at Steve's Hot Dogs one day.
Right.
So there's no delusions of grandeur here. It was
same way.
It was a mildly racist tag to one of his jokes.
Right.
And he was cool enough to like it. So
Good.
There we go. There we go.
And then if he makes money off of it, he owes you $10.
Yeah. If he does Netflix, then I want a writing credit on his special.
That'd be my dream.
So before you came on, I asked you a couple questions and some things you're into, hobbies and stuff like that. And the whole idea behind the podcast is anytime anybody says something's the best, it's just their opinion, right?
Sure.
There's no way to prove it one way, scientifically, right or wrong.
I mean, if I say it is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, we're two white men. I think we pretty much know what we're doing.
I mean, we've had a struggle in this world.
So
we know where we're coming from.
Exactly. No, when we... So I just thought I'd come up with a couple questions. Sure. Maybe we agree, maybe we disagree. We have a fun little back and forth, and we just try to figure some stuff out. Let's see. What's the best way to describe how you think? I love asking this to comedians.
How many words do I get?
As many as you need.
Sure. Off the cuff, then overanalyze, then overanalyze my overanalyzing, then go back to off the cuff, then change my mind entirely about what I was thinking or going to say, and then do that.
That's a great one. I like it.
Constant self-doubt and questioning, but not letting on that that's what I'm doing.
I'm the exact same way. I want to be the off-the-cuff guy.
Yeah.
I want to be the guy that just blurts it out, but will forever be the e-brake guy who just like right at the last second, no,
right.
Like I don't know. Yeah, just whatever, guys, like that. And it's killing me. It's killing me. I think it's. Do you think it's because we're a little bit older? Maybe.
Yeah.
Have you always been that way, or has it been like as you get older, you start to kind of like more like, all right, maybe I'm not going to go.
When I was young, I was really stupid and unfiltered.
Well, I think everybody.
Right? Like I was to the extreme. Like I was. If you go back to like I don't know how far you want to go back, but if you go back to high school, I was kind of edgelordy in that I really did believe like saying something get a shock was worth it. So I never thought about what I said. And then as I got into college and you start doing things where what you say and how you say something is just as important as what you're saying. When you get into things like that, then I did have to start like thinking about what's coming out of my mouth, if it's really reflecting what I'm trying to convey, or if I'm just like, I'm going to win this argument by making this person shut up.
The first time I learned to like pump the brakes a little bit was the day my grandfather died.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you kill him?
Well, no, so in a weird, sidebar, you could technically, there is a rumor in my family that I have killed 5 family members with jokes.
The aristocrats. You told your grandpa the aristocrats.
Yes.
Yeah.
He just died. No.
I like this rumor.
Okay.
I want that rumor for me.
So we'll get to that in a second. So my grandfather, right? He woke up one morning. He had a stroke and he fell and he hit his head and they took him to the hospital. Well, I went to school and I went to a Christian school. So every day they would ask for prayer requests.
Yeah.
And that was like my open mic, right?
Yeah.
That was my time to, this is what's going on in the world and stuff like that. And I said, oh, please pray for my grandpa because I think he had a stroke. And then I went, stroke. It crushed. It murdered. A room full of what was in first grade. So what is that? 7-year-olds?
Yeah, 7-year-old evangelical
just
Christians.
Got it. I mean, so then fast forward to like after lunch, my dad comes and picks me up early and he says, hey, buddy, Papa didn't make it.
Oh.
We're going to go to Mimi's house and we're going to be with her for the rest of the day. So we were sitting there. Everybody's sad. Everybody's sitting there. And my cousin or my aunt came in and she goes, oh my gosh, what happened? And my dad goes, well, they think it was a stroke. And I was like,
Yeah.
here we go. And I went, stroke, stroke. And it was the loudest silence I've ever heard in my entire life.
First of all, that's adorable.
Yeah.
And my entire family would have been on the floor laughing at that.
I think if I had given it, I mean, to be fair, Grandpa probably wasn't even cold yet.
Right.
So maybe a little bit of time.
That should have revived him.
But my mom was just like, no, like that from across the living room and like took me outside and was like, buddy, And I was like, hey, everybody laughed when I said it this morning. Yeah.
Oh, man. I wish I learned that lesson at 7. My grandpa died like New Year's Eve, 1999. And
Y2K.
First thing I told my mom when she called to let me know he died, I was like, I guess he wasn't Y2K compliant. And then I went to a New Year's Eve party.
See, I'm so sorry. You were telling me a heartfelt story about your grandfather, and then my first...
That's exactly it,
The comic mind, though. You're just like, oh, Y2K.
I mean, that does get back to what I'm saying, though. I was a first thoughts kind of guy.
Yeah. And then you learn. You're like, oh, no, I shouldn't say... yeah.
Oh, it was the dumbest thing. Like, my mom didn't care. Like, she knew who I was as a person by then, and that was a terrible person, so...
I wouldn't say it's a terrible person, because I think... I mean, I don't know your intentions. I don't know your inner monologue. But I think when you make a joke, no matter how offensive, when you have that gut reaction to just say something, you're doing it because you're like, hey, this will bring joy to someone.
Yeah.
It might not be the person you're talking to, but someone might.
A situation.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like, hey, this is tense.
Yeah.
Ta-da! If I could fart on command, I would do that. But sometimes you can't do that. So a quick pun or a quick, jab.
No, that's it. Yeah. No, that's a good lesson to learn at 7. I think, what was I, 23? I should have learned it sooner.
Yeah. Oh man. That's a good one though. Y2K comply. I would have patted. I would have been like, all right, that's a good one.
Well, you would have loved it because not only did I do it to my mom when she called to tell me 2 weeks later at the funeral, I said the exact same thing. So,
did it do better that time?
Yes,
okay.
It did. It had been a couple more weeks, and my mom she rolled her eyes a little, but then giggled a little. So.
Yeah.
So it was fine.
See, time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tragedy plus time. It's comedy.
Yes, exactly.
When so the other 4 members of my family I've killed with jokes.
That.
Yeah. Was my great grandmother who was like 105, and I went to a birthday party and we were joking about how old our grandparents were. I was like, my grandmother's 105. She's probably going to die any minute. Within 4 hours, I got a call that she had died. Then her daughter, so my grandmother, same thing. I made a joke. She called one morning and she's like, hey, I don't feel great, but I've got a bridge game to go to. Then will you take me to the doctor or something like that? And we were just joking. We're like, oh, she'll play bridge till noon the day of her funeral or whatever.
Yep.
Pretty much next, within 12 hours.
This is a superpower at this point.
Yeah. Then her daughter, my aunt, so this is 3 generations of women in the same family.
Yeah.
I made a slightly offhand joke about her. I'm like, well, she's not doing good. She could go at any moment. 3 hours later, that happened. And then my grandmother on my mom's side, I made a joke. My buddy's wife works for a pharmaceutical company, and they were working on Alzheimer's medication. And I was like, could you put an express order in on that? My grandmother's got a couple hours left.
Oh, Jesus.
Boom. And so when we... Now, anytime I make a joke about anyone in the family, everybody's like, they're like, don't you dare. Like my wife's aunt took a picture of me sleeping at Thanksgiving, which I thought was an extreme violation of privacy.
Allowed. Yeah.
Yeah. It was after dinner, and I was like, of course, it was a disgusting photo of me looking like melted ice cream in a chair with my mouth open.
You're in a tryptophan coma.
And she took a picture of me and then showed everyone and was like, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. And I was like, that's why I'm not going to your funeral.
Yeah.
Like that. And my wife was like, don't you dare make anything like that. I love my aunt.
Next week.
Yeah. I was like, someone's not going to be here at Thanksgiving next year,
Did you watch the newest Twilight Zone reboot that Jordan Peterson did?
I didn't.
Okay, the first episode is a comic who that happens to, right? And I forget who it is in it. It's I don't know. I'm only seeing Jordan Peterson now, but anyway, the comic in it, like the joke, he gets
Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele, not Jordan Peterson. That'd be so different. Did you see
so
the
different.
Twilight Zone with Jordan Peterson? Also, how great would Peterson and Peele be? Or Key and Peterson.
Key and Peterson, that would be great.
That's really mean what you're saying about me, and women are terrible.
Peele, he's trying to do like a skit, and Peterson's like, "Well, gosh, how is it?" He's just like crying. Like that seems like every clip I see of Jordan Peterson is like.
It is.
His like somehow gravelly but high voice, and he's just on the brink of crying.
The deep religious symbology here tells me you're a cuck, and it's awful. Like God. No, Jordan Peele. Basically, the comic writes a joke, and then it becomes reality. Like it's a magic pen story, right?
Oh,
That's
no.
you. That's based on you. He stole your story.
He stole my story.
This is one more instance of a black man or a mixed man, a biracial man taking down a white man by taking his stuff.
I've had enough. It's about time.
We're getting canceled for that.
Yeah. We'll just clip all that out.
No,
That's all right.
No, you leave that there.
You leave it in.
Otherwise, how will Key and Peterson happen?
Key and Peterson deserves to be.
That'd be so good.
Okay. Do you have what's the best underrated vacation spot?
I get in trouble for this at home because I don't like traveling to exotic places. I like being in the States. Mm-hmm. I like going to small towns in America where like things are weird or different for me. So right now, I think, man, I went to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Exactly. It was great. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't want to live there. I don't want to know what any of those people think about how the world should work because it's Tennessee. And I looked up all of the political stuff about Tennessee before going because I was like, am I going to get shot? Do I need to take a gun? What's up? And but it's beautiful. It's beautiful, man. Like it's
the Smoky Mountains. That's one of I think it's the one behind you. That's actually that might be the Appalachian.
I knew
Mountains,
we were somewhere cool.
But yeah, I think they're the same thing. Yeah, we're I don't know if you can tell, but we are everywhere. I don't know if you noticed, but they're actually demolishing the office next to me.
Okay.
And they took a break, and I'm so in the back of my mind this whole time is like, any minute now you're gonna hear
Jack
like what? How ironic would it be that we're outdoors, but yet
they all went home. We're supposed to get snow. They're gone.
Oh, really?
This is St. Louis. Yeah. It's not going to stick to anything. It's going to be fine. But everybody went home 5 hours ago.
Makes me. I do. Which one's best for you? Heat or cold?
Cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easier to get warm than it is to cool off.
That's true.
I hate being high. Like first of all, I'm a fat dude, so like I'm gonna sweat no matter what. Mm-hmm. At least in the cold, I can fight off the sweat.
That's what these are for. Undershirts.
Very thermogenic person.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of. Well, also I'm allergic to the metal in most belt buckles. Okay. And so I have to have an undershirt to tuck in
to keep your skin away from the belt buckle.
Yeah, my big old belly just hangs over and then it rubs, and I have like a C-section scar almost because
my God.
Well, when I was in the military, you can't be like, hey, can I get a different buckle? Mine's and so I'd get home at the end of the day and I'd just be like, oh, and I would just scratch for hours, and it went like raw and stuff.
That's not enough to make you 4F or whatever it is.
No.
Whatever it was, George Bailey was, to where he couldn't go fight the Nazis.
Yeah.
4H? 4F.
I would 4F. 4F, yeah, because it was 1A and 4F.
Yeah, 4H were farmers. Now I remember.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. 4H is that's the extracurricular. That's great. You're either that's it. That's in America. Those are your two. And they're like ants. Yep. Like these are your two jobs. You're either 1A where you go fight, or 4H and you go grow corn.
Or grow, buddy.
Yeah.
No, but the good question. Smoky Mountains, definitely.
Yeah.
I almost died in the Smoky Mountains when I was younger, in my 20s. Like, I don't know. I'm probably being dramatic, but I used to hang out with a bunch of people who camped and hiked all the time. And we hung out like together and went on this trip to the Smoky Mountains, and I wasn't going to go because it's winter camping and everybody's camping like in the elements while it's snowing or raining or flooding. And I was like, well, I'm going to go stay in a cabin and I'll meet up with you people. And I did, and we're like, let's go on a light little hike. And we start going, and we get like a mile into the hike. I'm like, this is pretty long. and it's all uphill. And then you see a sign that says, if you go past this point, the only way out of here is by helicopter if you don't walk out. And I'm stubborn. I'm like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. And the whole thing is just to get to some waterfall where you have lunch. And I get there and I'm huffing, I'm puffing. I'm in my 20s. I'm not going to have a heart attack, but I know what it feels like at this point. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. I think I live at this water fountain. Everybody's like, all right, we saw the fountain. Let's go back. I'm like, hold up.
Well, all right. Let's enjoy it.
Right. Like, life's about the journey. I get it, but.
Yeah.
So I still go back.
We went hiking when I was a kid. We went to Colorado to. It wasn't Vail or Aspen or like one of the big towns. It was like a smaller, like I don't know,
Lima.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember where it was, but my parents were like, "Hey, we." This is in the days where you would look up something on the computer, print off the directions, and then drive there.
Fucking MapQuest.
Yeah, MapQuest. Yeah.
Way better than anything we had.
Way better than recalculating like that. But we ended up, they drove us out into the woods, and we got to this trail, and I'm like, "Are you guys sure this is the right one?" And they're like, "Yes, we're positive." And we hike up this trail, and we get to the point where like trees aren't even growing anymore, and we're all like. This is really tough. And then we ended up, long story short, it was the wrong trail by like a half mile. We were off. God. And it was like, it went up to like 14,000. It was one of the like tallest mountains. Yeah. And we got done and we were like, yeah, we kept seeing all this sign for like Arrowhead Trail. And they were like, oh, you guys did that one? Oh, you should have gone.
That's how you end up on the news.
Yeah, go to Clearwater Trail. Don't go to, the ankle breaker, or whatever it's called, and we were just like, oh, okay, we can do it. My dad's like, we're going up the mountain.
We're not turning back. Okay, MapQuest. So, do you do this? We were talking about MapQuest for just a brief second there. So now I'm on a whole MapQuest branch in my head. Do you try to get places without turning on your navigate on your
Absolutely.
phone? Okay,
100%.
Good. I'm for that.
Yes, absolutely. Especially if it's in like here in the city, where if
definitely in the city.
Yeah. Now there are times where I do it like long distance, where I'll look it up and I'll be like, okay, in 97 miles, I have to get on whatever this, and I'll be like, okay, just do it, just go. Don't have it playing in the background. Just go.
Just don't look at that constantly updated. You'll get here then.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you try to race the time and stuff like that. I'm like, just sit back and just.
Right.
Okay, this is your exit. You're looking for exit 95 in 74 miles. And
I'm for that.
Yeah, I love doing that.
Right. The only thing I wish you could get without being actively navigating is that speed check ahead warning they do now.
That's true.
That is helpful. But my thing, it's like, I don't know, you go to Nashville a lot, right?
Yeah.
So you can do that drive without any directions. You know how to get to Nashville. And that's my thing. Like, anytime I've been to a city, I should be able to get there again from St. Louis.
Exactly.
Without pulling up on navigation. And I try that. I only fail at it a couple times, but it's easy to turn around.
It's usually once I get close to the destination, I'm like, okay, wait. I might turn it on for that because it's like, okay, was it 3 stoplights or 2 from the highway? Was it a left at the Arby's or do I keep going? Like,
Right. But I'm like, if I ever pull up a navigation to go to Brian's Barbecue in Kansas City, it's because I have dementia. Like, I know how to get there.
Yeah.
I know the exit. I know where to go.
That's it. That's exactly right. Like, once when I don't always take the best route though.
Right.
Like I have a buddy who lives in Nashville and he lived in an apartment and then he moved to a house. And so when I get in the car to go to Nashville, I instinctively go towards his apartment. And then once I get to a certain intersection, I'm like, okay, now I turn left.
Right.
Instead of turning right. And then I found out that adds like 30 minutes because I like cut through Nashville instead of just going around it.
Right.
I'm like, but that's how I know it. I want to feel independent. Yeah. I don't need machines, man.
I go the worst way usually because I can't stand staying still in a car or in life, really. So I will, like, if I'm usually most cities except for St. Louis, it's a grid, right? All the streets, there's a certain logic to them. So I know if something's over there, I could probably hook around and skip this light, and it's an extra 15 minutes.
Now,
But
some
at
of
least I
them,
skipped it.
some of them are like by Skinker and like kind of by the zoo. Like one exit past the zoo if you're going on 64 headed west.
Yeah.
Some of those streets are kind of screwy. They're
Yeah.
one ways, and there's like you got to loop around and stuff.
They dead end. They
Some of
split
those,
off.
that I've gotten turned around there by High Point Diner a couple
Yeah,
times.
that's easy to do.
But I'm learning, and it makes me feel so happy when I can get from point A to point B in the city, especially
it's great.
on Wednesday nights. Back like 2-3 months ago, there were 5 mics I could do on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And to go from from one to one to one to one to one all the way around the city and not have to use GPS once.
Right.
I was like, yes.
Then one local comic killed all those mics. It's a good feeling, though.
mean,
Like, you got around.
Just the one, just the one died. Now, was it the most fun to end the night on? Yes, it was. But that was a rough night. It was
It was bad.
It was going downhill.
I forgot
quick.
I was there until I was reminded I was there.
I thought I was the reason.
Oh, God.
I thought I was the reason because the last night we did that mic, that lady that was like super drunk
Yeah.
came up and like stole the microphone from me and was like, "You need to apologize to everyone in here," because we were doing like a roast kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like we weren't going to tell jokes that night. Like it was going downhill, and we ended up just like telling jokes about all our best friends. And I said something about a comic, and it was very dark, but
true.
And she got very mad at me, and then I was like, "Oh, am I the reason that the mic died?" And Ronaldo he let me think that for like weeks.
Right.
He was like, "Yeah, you were it.
Totally.
That was
I
it."
would have let you think.
Yeah. And he told other people to tell me that I was the reason. I took a Wednesday off from doing comedy because I was like, I need to get my life together. I caused them. I put myself in timeout because of that. And then they were like, "No, it wasn't you. It's because so and so did such and such." And I was like, "Oh,
It's always gonna happen.
It's all yeah."
I had a mic, not a mic. I had a show canceled because I said the N word. So I didn't say the actual word. I used the phrase the N word, and then the show got canceled because somebody said, "Oh, that guy said the N word," and I was like, "No, I didn't."
No, I said
the N word.
N word. Like,
and at that point, I'm like, "This isn't worth fighting over." Tell all your friends I said it. Yeah, I'll be on Netflix someday.
That's the worst part about comedy is that it's taken out of context, and you're like, "Well, so and so said this," and you're like, "Yeah, but how did they say?" Right. You know what I mean? Like you're like, okay.
Show running is a big pain in the ass.
I can imagine. Oh, what's the best length of time for a haircut?
Depends. Right now, I am about 8 weeks between haircuts because I'm trying to grow some of my hair out. And I was getting the typical alt-right comb-over haircut. Right, and it's a good haircut. Like, it's a shame.
It's just what I know.
Yeah, it's a shame they took it over. And that's because they all have fat heads, and it's the best haircut for a fat head. Not that you have a fat head.
No, I do.
Yeah.
It's all right. Speak.
It's good. It's like gives you shape and form. That you should get every 3 to 4 weeks because you got to keep it up, I think.
Yeah, you have
Otherwise, it gets a little sloppy.
I mean, I meant like time in chair.
Oh.
See, because I've had it both ways.
Yeah.
I've had haircuts that lasted like 90 seconds. And I'm like, "Are you sure you're done?"
No, yeah.
And then I've had haircuts that lasted like 45 minutes to an hour. And I'm like, I got stuff to do, man.
I've gone in for like a cleanup that's taken like 90 seconds where they're just like clipping anything sticking out because I got like a show weekend and I just got a haircut, but I want it cleaned up. That's about the only time that's acceptable. My haircuts typically take about an hour to 90 minutes. I go to a old school barber. She's great. She does like the towels around the face. She trims the beard for you. She cuts your lines. Like, it's been a minute since I've been in. This is all my work. So if you're looking at this, you're like, "Well, those lines are crooked." That's because I'm cross-eyed. But she does all that stuff, and it takes about 90 minutes to do it right, or an hour to do it, like get you in and out so she can make more money during the day. So I think that's about right. Plus, you should relax when you get your haircut. Like that's your time away from the world. You can't check your phone. No one can get a hold of you. It's perfectly acceptable when someone's like, "I couldn't get a hold of you." I was getting a haircut.
Well, I love a good haircut.
Yeah.
That was actually one of my favorite things. When I was on deployment, I would look forward to a haircut once a week, mostly for like the physical touch of just having someone, like, I don't know why, but it just felt nice to just have that like slow, like, I don't know. It's just like, and then you get done. Sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, I don't know if I'm depressed or if I just need a haircut, you know? Because you do feel better afterwards. You're like, oh, I'm a human again. I'm not this woolly beast. Yeah.
You're deployed to Iraq?
No. So I did 2 deployments, and the second one I was in Japan, but the first one I was in the Marines, but we were on a Navy ship.
Okay.
And we would fly in helicopter, like the ship went all around the world, and then we'd get in helicopters and bounce. And I went Yemen, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Djibouti, Africa, Malaysia. Well, actually, and then on my second deployment into Japan, we were in the mountains.
Okay.
And we were in like 2 feet of snow, and they taught us how to build. They literally showed us how to build igloos and like how to sleep in the snow and stuff like that. It was fun,
I mean, you're
but
being
it was
forced
like
to do it.
There's a difference between camping and forced camping. You know?
Like I like reading books. Don't tell me to do it for class.
Exactly.
When in those warm places, the haircut had to feel good. Right?
Oh, especially when you came back and you're so dirty, and they would grow out, and you had to. So at that point, when I was on my first deployment, since I was the new guy, I had to shave my head.
Right.
There was no. Everybody else can grow a little bit of hair, you know. But just to hit on the new guy, you have to shave your head.
You gotta have that
for the
Marine
first
head.
like 2 years, I had a shaved head.
Yeah.
And I actually got to the point where I enjoyed it, where you'd come back and you would just wash all the grime and filth off of you, and then you'd sit down and somebody would just do it. And like after a while, that you could tell who liked you, because they would they would shave your head, but they would do it like, I don't know, they would do it like gently or whatever, and then the guys that hated you would just like hold your head, and you're like,
like you're getting a tattoo.
Heaven forbid you have a mole or a bump or something like that on the back of your head. It's coming off.
I remember my brother was a Marine, or is, however that works when you're not a Marine anymore, but you know you're always a Marine. He doesn't do that a lot. My brother was one, though, and I remember when he joined and he came back with his head shaved the first time, I was like, wow, that is a look. Like, there's something about, like, what your basic training's, like 6 weeks?
13.
13 weeks. There's something about, like, being deprived of extra food that entire time, getting all the body fat cut off your head, and then shaving it. That is like, yeah, that's why people are terrified of the U.S. military.
Because
that's a good rule.
You're emaciated and just you don't realize how much hair kind of it kind of softens a human.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then you get rid of all of it, and you're like, okay, what's this thing?
It's a bell curve, isn't it? Like when you're completely hairless and like look mean, and then you look nice because you got some hair and you're approachable. But then the hair gets out of control, and back again, you're like an animal.
Yeah, exactly. There's a peak time for hair. Yeah. And every person's different.
Yeah.
I've tried to grow long hair. I thought that I was like, oh, when I get out, I'll just grow my hair long,
right?
And like I'll do all kinds of different stuff with it. It looks terrible.
Yeah.
I look so bad with long hair. Everybody was like, because I'm thinning. I'm going thin on top, and so it's like that just becomes more noticeable the longer it gets.
I feel ya. I can't grow long hair. It will, like, my hair's fine for one thing, so I don't know how this happens. But as it gets longer, it starts curling under itself, so it just grows out, and not like a cool fro kind of deal, but like feathered bang kind of deal. And like your Farrah Fawcett in the 80s, and I don't want that.
No.
So I try not to grow it too long.
No, I wish I could do that. I kind of wish I could do the Farrah Fawcett, like, feathered and
Yeah.
all like big
Nipples poking out of your swimsuit. Yeah,
exactly. I want to look like Reba at in the 90s when she got that award in the red dress. Like that's my dream look, but unfortunately
those were the good days where hairstyles were just unisex, right? Like
yeah, everybody Conway Twitty and Reba had the exact same hair. George Strait and Dolly Parton, beehives. It's not I would here we go.
Okay.
So I asked you before what you some of your hobbies, some of the things you said you love Stephen King novels.
I do.
What do you think is his best novel or the best story you've read? Now these like just the books. We're not going to talk about the movie.
Okay.
Because there's been 7 versions of Carrie.
There have,
and but the books. Do you have one that stands out?
Depending on what I'm going for, like if I want something that just is scary, like actually scary to me, I think It as a book. I don't know how much of it is because I read it as a kid, and it stuck with me but I've reread it like a number of times. I've reread most of his books, and I've reread that one a number of times, and there's always a part somewhere in the book that scares me. Just a little. Like I don't not lock the door scared, but now I'm an adult. There's not an evil clown hiding in my toilet. Maybe,
is there?
Maybe. But it makes me uneasy at this point. But when I was a kid, it scared me. It is just terrifying. Plus, as a kid, it was the first time I'd ever read something where children die.
Yes.
And not just like die of like cancer in like a My Girl kind of way. Like, fuck that kid, whatever. That was
bees,
easy.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
His glasses, he can't see.
That's what it is, the bee sting.
Yeah.
Not cancer, whatever. I hated that movie.
It's okay.
Dan Aykroyd's worst acting ever. No. I have strong opinions, apparently. But no, the kids in the school bus just... Man, that scene at the factory is just like, whoa, come on. And then the kids that just die... that terrified me as a kid. I was like, oh, kids die all the time. And I read that before I read Pet Sematary, which has like a 4-year-old.
Pet Sematary was me. Yeah. Pet Sematary was one of the ones where I'm like, surely it'll work out in the end.
Right. I think if I had read that first, that would be what I think is the best, because that would be the scariest. But I started with it, and it was like, okay.
I don't think I've read too many. I started to read Cujo, and I don't know if I ever finished it, but that one was like, I didn't think I was like, oh, a big dog, who cares? But then I was like, oh no, this is actually kind of, okay.
It's written from a point of view of a dog.
Oh, what was it? What was the other one? There was one that I read, and I always wanted to read the rest of the I read The Gunslinger from the Dark Tower.
I love that series.
The Gunslinger was the only one I ever read, and I never finished.
It depends on who you ask. Some people hate it, like they're like it wasn't worth finishing. I have read the entire series multiple times. It used to be, as far as audiobooks go, it's the thing that's been played most in my Audible, because it used to be when I had a regular office, sit down, go to everyday job, I would just play it on repeat. Like I would start from the first book, and at the time there weren't 7 books yet, but I would go all the way through to 7th, and then the secret 8th book that he added, and then all the books that intertwine in it, and then get to all the end, and then just go back and start it over while I worked all day.
Oh, wow.
And it was the best way to spend the time. Like, I don't know if my English professors in college would agree with me, but I think it's one of the best uses of the English language since Tolkien wrote. Like, man, that's the nerdiest thing I've said. Since
I don't know, that's a pretty I mean, I don't think
Tolkien wrote like Lord of the Rings. Like, I think it's that. It's Lord of the Rings with guns.
That's what I think. That's what appealed to me, because I definitely did not look at it as a great literate. I was like, ooh, it's called The Gunslinger. Yeah. Ooh, like that's my primitive brain was like, ooh, guns, Western, this will be fun. And then I was like, oh, this is.
It's the Gunslinger itself is fun to read because it was written to be released in short parts, right? Like it was released in it was released in science fiction and magazine of science fiction fantasy, right? So it's not one story that you feel like if you stop it somewhere you're gonna miss something, so you can't get back into it. It's like a whole bunch of individual stories that link together as one giant story, in my head anyway. And I don't know. I've read it not originally, but like I read the original version, and then he's edited it like twice to fix inconsistencies with like the rest of the books, and then make it tie into other stuff, and I've never gotten tired of it. I don't know.
So you're saying is like it's a good version of Star Wars. That was just a shot. It was just a jab. Just a jab.
It's the same story as Star Wars. Lucas clearly stole it.
That's one thing. Are you a Star Wars guy? No.
I mean, I watch it. I could not tell you a single piece of trivia.
I want to like it so much.
Yeah.
Laser swords and
Everything I want.
Spaceships and robots and just princesses and pew, pew, pew. It should be fantastic, right? But it's not. It's just
tried
not.
so hard. Like, I went to opening nights of so many movies, of re-releases, of prequels, of postquels. I went to all the trivia nights my friends went to. I could never absorb that universe. I never read like the extended universe novels or played the games or cared about like the New Republic game or whatever, Knights of the Old Republic. None of that shit ever could catch me, and I was always disappointed in myself for it. And that's just like, oh, that's because it's mostly bad storytelling.
Yeah, exactly. That's the
right. Like,
that's my
kids.
problem with it.
Yeah.
That's my problem with it. And but even as a kid, I was like, this is kind of Like I remember, I was a kid when the prequels came out.
Okay.
So I was born in '90. They all came out in.
Oh man.
The first one came out in '98 or something, and then like 2010 and something like that. And I remember just being like, "This is kind of weird." Like
I always blamed it on being poor and not being able to afford the toys when I was a kid. Because
I
feel like if you had parents who could get you all of the toys, then you got emotionally invested in the movies a little bit more, maybe.
I judged it on the jokes, I think, as well. And some of the jokes are pretty bad.
Oh, yeah, it's corny, man.
And I'm just like,
it's old dad jokes.
Yeah, it's old. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah. So, I don't know. I've probably just gotten myself banned from all social media, and it's going to get so much hate. But it's just...
Isn't that the thing to do now, though?
I've watched all the movies. I'm not... And people are like, oh, well, he hates it because Disney took over. No. Long before Disney took over, I was like... It's cool. Yeah. It should be cool, you know?
There are some definite cool parts. Like, Return of the Jedi is a fun movie to watch. There's some cool parts. There is a 30-minute middle part of that movie that I swear to God you could sleep through, go take a shit, come back, and be just fine.
I feel like there's a lot of that in those movies. Where you're like, what are we doing? And I don't know. We gotta go. You're
better off reading the Celestine Prophecy.
All right. So, you said you're
a
huge. You love Vietnamese food and Thai food,
I
right?
do. Like,
I've thrown in Korean and Indian
I love
food.
both of those too. I think I'm just a Asian food kind of guy. Yeah.
Well, I figured as two white men, we could definitely find out which culture has the best food.
Well,
and I'm sure they'll respect our opinion.
Two of those beat us in wars, so they can't win. One was fully colonized by... two were fully colonized by the British.
That's true.
Let's see. Vietnam was the French. Korea was...
Well, this one... Okay, yes, they beat us, but I would say only half of this one beat us.
That's
so
true.
We've got
that was mutual.
So we can only get 4 dishes out of these 8, I think, right?
Yeah. Totally.
And if we're sticking strictly by the rules, it has to be these bottom 4 right here. These bottom 4 are okay for us to eat. These ones we're not allowed to have.
Exactly. American imperialist nature won't let us.
Yeah. We can't cross this line.
Oh, man. I don't... See, here's the problem. I would like to assemble a menu based on all 4 of those cuisines. Right?
Oh, yeah, that would be...
Pick and choose. Like, give me samosas and some pad thai.
Okay.
Throw in, like, a few pieces of nigiri. Oh, you don't have Japanese up there even. Never mind. Oh, God. Bowl of pho. Like, right along it. Some spring rolls. Some bulgogi. You could put a good menu together. And then start mixing and matching.
Yeah. I love Thai food. But the last time... Most of the time when I would eat Thai food, it was when I was drinking heavily. Yeah. And so a lot of nights ended with Thai food. Okay. And I cannot for the life of me remember what I was eating. But I just remember being like, I loved it. There was a place called The Palm. It was just a Thai food place in Los Angeles. And it usually would be open until like 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay. And so that's where we would always end up. And I'd be like, Palm. I just remember like back in my most annoying drunk days.
Yeah.
That's where we would end up, and I would just, the spicier the better. I loved it so much.
See, that was me with Vietnamese food. I used to drink at a bar on South Grand here in St. Louis called the Jade Room, which was attached to Mekong, which was a Vietnamese restaurant at the time. Now I think it's a Mexican place. But they kept their menu until like 11, and then they went to like a smaller menu. So it's like you were drinking and you could just go in and you could get whatever you wanted, and it was great.
I love late night food. That's my it's such a problem for me.
Yeah.
Like, and anyone who's a fan of the podcast knows what I'm about to say, but gramophone. I will die on that hill.
Purposely avoid it.
If there were, let's say there was an alien invasion or we were invaded by a foreign army, I would put up barricades around gramophone and protect it. I mean, Les Miserables style, waving a flag on top of an overturned car, just getting taken out with just a meatball sub in my hand, you know?
Going into the Grove here at night is so dangerous for me. Like, gramophone it's good. Platypus does food until late.
Mm-hmm.
My
the
weakness,
popcorn chicken.
Yeah. On weekends, my weakness is the guy that barbecues there. Like, there's a guy that sets up down by, like, Just John's and Rehab and all that. Just sets up in the street.
Really?
He's got, like, a pull barbecue pit that he pulls behind a truck. He'll set up at, like, 10 or 11 and then go until 3 in the morning. So during Flyover Festival, whenever I left the Improv Shop late at night, I would walk up there and get something. And that's, like, the bane of my existence.
That's what I'm going to have. I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to.
Every weekend, no matter what the weather, usually he's there.
I'm such a loyal fan of gramophone that people have tried to take me to other sub places.
And like, nah.
And I'll eat it, but I judge everything so harshly,
right,
based on the pinnacle of what gramophone is.
They're so good.
And I don't know. People have said like, oh, you should go to Pickleman's. It's open. Like, no. I don't want to be the one 30-year-old in a sea of 18-year-old college kids doing TikTok dances. You know, like I want.
Do you like it just as much during the day as you do at night?
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
that's the test.
I do love night food. Night food feels sneaky. It feels like I'm being naughty like that without having to get a divorce. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I totally love just a good BLT where you're like, there's no reason for me to be eating this. But I got a little bit of money in my pocket. I did a show.
Yeah.
I don't like to eat before shows. I don't know.
No.
Yeah, it makes me feel sluggish. And then I'm like, let's just take a nap.
I'm like,
how about that?
I don't want to be up on stage and then have to like use the bathroom halfway through.
Yeah, I don't want to burp and stuff like that. Where I'm like, oh, sorry, I had a pastrami on rye earlier. So, but I love that they're open till, well, you have to get there at 12:50 to place an order.
Yeah.
Have you ever been there at like right at that time?
I won't even risk it. Like, it seems like it would be a ring of hell.
They close at 1:30, and I, as a general rule of thumb, will not order food within 30 minutes of a place closing,
which is reasonable.
That's because I've worked in food industry. I worked at a deli as a high schooler, and I would hate it. You'd close at 10, and 9:58, they'd be like, "Can I?" And you're like, like that. So I don't do that just out of rule of thumb. But they to stop taking orders at 12:50.
Right.
And man, the guy that's in charge of that does not play.
Good.
You'll walk in the door and he'll be like, "You have 30 seconds to order something," and you're like, BLT to go, please. I'm so sorry. Here, take some money." But
I have walked into a place too close to close and been like, "Hey, what's the most unlabor intensive thing you can make, and I will tip you $50 for it." I have done that because I've been on the road and I really need something that's not Burger King. And like, it's a town where everything closes at the same time, and I still feel bad about it, but they'll do it for money, obviously. But
I hate eating like chain restaurants on the road.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm in somewhere new. Why?
Right.
I gotta try something that I can't have anywhere else.
Yeah, and I've been pretty good about cutting fast food out for the last year or so. But when you're on the road, man, it's hard.
I'm trying to break my kids of it.
Yeah.
Because kids are.
Yeah, totally.
They have a stranglehold on McDonald's and Burger King and Taco Bell. Yep. I'm like, but there's better options.
So much better.
We can do better than this.
Better fast food.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not where we live, not in our small town.
My thing is, just breaking it from the app point of view. Like, there's no reason. I think the last time I had Taco Bell would have had to be last year at some point when I ordered it from DoorDash, and I realized I just paid $30 for a Crunchwrap Supreme, and that was pretty much it, a Diet Pepsi. And I was like, all right, this is unsustainable. I'm no longer eating this shit.
No, you can't. It's just, but at the time you're like, oh, why not?
Right, exactly.
Why not? I need to, yeah. I do all the logic and reasoning.
Yep.
One of my favorite things that I used to do, and I'm happy I haven't in a while, is QT. I would go into QT late at night, and I would go to the rollers and
Clean
get
up
like
on 'em.
7 buffalo chicken rollers.
Yep.
And if you time it at the right time, they're like, hey, we're about to throw those out. You can just keep them if you want. And you're like, free food. Yeah, you're like that. Yeah, it's not good.
Do you bargain with yourself when you get them too? It's like, oh, well, they're not that big.
They're not that big. I mean, it's mostly chicken, right?
Yeah.
So that's like protein, and then
I bet there's some soy filler in there.
Yeah, right. I mean, how bad could it be? And then you wake up the next morning and you're like, why does it hurt to breathe?
My favorite thing from QT is that what is it, mango iced tea they have.
I've never had that.
Whatever the fruit flavor one is, I think it's mango. It's black iced tea. It's unsweetened. It's brewed, and right when the lockdowns happened and they took all the fountain drinks out of QT. I walked in one day and they were gone. I was like, oh no, I need 44 ounces of that iced tea. And the guy's like, I could just sell you a couple bags of it. And I thought he meant just regular tea bags. He sold me the giant fuck you size thing they used to fill the bun containers.
Oh, nice.
And I took home like a box of those for $20. And he put the 20 in his pocket. Clearly, he did not ring that in the register. And I did not care. And so for the entirety of that year, I had Quick Trip iced tea. I had to cut the bags open and measure it out myself into like smaller bags, but it was worth it.
It was a pandemic. We all did things we're not proud of.
If he had sold me a crate of frozen buffalo rollers,
oh gosh.
I'm like, all right.
I would have been on the Grove with the barbecue guy. I would have had those going.
You go to Soulard Market, you could probably buy a case of that.
Oh, I bet.
Fell off a truck.
So this is best end of the world scenarios.
Yes.
All right. We've got asteroid impact.
Okay.
Alien invasion.
Yeah.
Killer robots.
Okay, I was trying to figure out what that was.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to see, but
the Stone Army in China.
Yeah, that's the terracotta soldier. They're gonna come back. I'm calling it
one
now.
day.
The Yellowstone earthquake explosion or volcano, Yellowstone volcano, or of course lizard people.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, what qualifies as best? Most likely, or the one we would want to see?
Well, I think we could definitely judge this on a number of different scales.
Yeah.
You know, best as in like most complete destruction. You know, probably be asteroid, right?
Yeah.
Best as in maybe like most fun to like fight off. Lizard people or robots, maybe. Robots would be hard.
I think
harder.
robots have a better chance of wiping us out.
Oh, yeah. We would definitely lose against robots.
Yeah.
But it might be more fun than, say, an alien invasion.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
But lizard people, you just turn your air conditioning on. And
oh, yeah, exactly. Well, they wouldn't be out today.
Yeah,
we would be perfectly fine. 6 months a year, we would we would all move. We just North Dakota becomes the most populated state in the country. I don't know. Which one would be the most fun?
I'll tell you the one I'm actually most scared of, Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Because that could literally happen right now. Any moment.
Oh, yeah. Any moment. Yeah.
And there is...
no warning.
Here's a little nerdery for apocalyptic thinkers. There is no recovery plan for the first 6 months after that happens. Like all of the plans that the government has for like moving in resources and trying to rebuild and get people out, like because the coastal regions will still be fine, assuming they're not underwater from global warming. But everything is just like for the first 6 months, you don't even bother.
So that's what I liked about this is because technically, according to this map, St. Louis is outside of the heavy snow or the heavy ashfall zone. We're to the like 3 to 10 millimeters of ash. So it would still, don't get me wrong, it would destroy our way of life. However, I don't think that we would die.
You wouldn't.
We could survive.
I think the biggest problem is like food.
Because
all those people in this pink region,
yeah,
right,
that's where all the food comes from.
Yeah, not only that, but they're gonna push out into like the wooded areas, and they're gonna hunt everything.
Mm-hmm.
And most woodland can only support like 3 days of like the entire population hunting it. So you're dead. Yeah, all the farmland's gone for the most part. Like until even in Missouri, like we're not going to be under ash, but we're going to be affected, right?
Well, the whole world would be
like
affected.
We're eating people at this point.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. 100%.
And that's enough to make Missouri and Kansas and Oklahoma and all of them turn into like little city states with warlords who are controlling the streets in and out.
Isn't it already? I mean, no. Yeah.
What is a sundown town other than a Greek city-state?
If we could combine these, though, like if we got the Yellowstone volcano eruption and lizard people, that could solve the hunger problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't be opposed to eating...
I've eaten snake.
Yeah. Alligator.
Yeah, totally.
It's delicious.
Oh, man. You get some lizard people, boudin. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, a little lizard people etouffee.
Oh man, I'm down.
Yeah.
All right, I'm back on board with. Yeah, let's do a combo.
What it makes all of a sudden New Orleans becomes like the culinary hub of the world is just how to cook and eat reptile.
Yeah, I love it.
I'd be okay with that.
Could you imagine being a lizard person who goes through all the trouble of climbing up from the center of the earth? You get out and boom, nuclear winter basically.
I didn't think about that because of the ash cloud. Yeah.
You just freeze on the spot. You're like, fuck, man.
Tomorrow we ride. And then they get up here and then a day later, like...
That's the ultimate vacation moment. Like you show up and it's like, sorry, folks.
Yeah.
Park's closed.
Although I would say, I mean, have you ever heard about the people that like go to places after a disaster or something?
Disaster tourism?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, my dad once took us on a family trip to New York City in November of 2001.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Air flight was real cheap.
I bet.
Yeah. But we still went. We had a good time.
Yeah.
But there was not a ton of tourism there yet.
And not 9/11 itself, but after 9/11 was the best time to fly.
Yeah.
The only other time was when they opened airports back up to public travel after pandemic lockdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, man, you could just go to the airport, walk right up to your gate after you got through TSA, and get on a plane. There was nothing in the middle of the concourse to slow you down. It's beautiful.
I do remember life pre 9/11. Like travel wise and stuff, where you could just is like your grandma comes to a visit, you just walk to the gate and just like
Daniel Tosh has that bit about how people don't realize how much air travel sucked if you weren't the traveler before 9/11 because you would have a girlfriend and she would be flying out of the city you were in and you'd have to go with her and wait for the plane and sit there and watch the plane take off, and then 9/11 happened and it's like, you just drop her off the curb. Sorry, I'd like to watch.
I can't. Yeah.
I was like, that's exactly it. But so many people were afraid to fly after 9/11, though. Like, I had to fly for work at the time. I was, like, way too young to be in the job I was in, but it let me fly a lot. And I remember it being great. Like, it's, like, sure, there's a lot more regulations. Like, are we taking our underwear off today? Are we taking our shoes off today? All of this shit. Like, you never knew what was going to happen. But also, the airports were empty. And it was beautiful.
It is fun.
So if you're an ISIS member watching this, and you want to really help our travel industry, give us a 9/11.
Yeah.
See, edgelord shit I shouldn't say.
No, let's go for it. Oh, wait. Where'd we go?
Asteroid, I'm not afraid of. I know it's likely. The only thing I worry about that is like a deep impact scenario where it's already on the way and they're just not telling us.
Yeah, I did hear. Well, now you can't believe anything that you hear whatsoever. But I did. Somebody the other day said something that like NASA lost track of an asteroid,
right?
And they're like, we don't really know where it went, and it's like, well, okay. And then you hear about everybody building bunkers, and you're like, okay, all right, what's happening? What are we doing?
You think about all the money we spend on everything we waste, and the one thing that would make the most sense is like some kind of sky observation.
Right.
And it would cost not as much as anything we spend on like the Reaper drone program.
Yeah, exactly. We just need
Yeah.
just a telescope.
And then come up with a plan for like, even if the plan is just like, hey, you got like 4 days left, get ready to die. Even though we'd know like years out, right?
Do you think they would? Well, obviously they wouldn't.
No,
but if you were in charge, would you tell the population that it was coming to an end?
No, but I think we've already seen that the government can't keep a secret.
Yeah, it's so bad.
We're in the information age. That shit's getting out. You don't need to wait for Elijah Wood to not Elijah Wood. What's his name? Elijah Wood's Elijah Wood is the actor. Elijah Craig is the whiskey. I get those confused.
Elijah Craig, yeah. If Elijah Craig is telling you that the world is ending, you maybe have a drinking problem.
It's like, the Hobbit found this on his telescope.
No, because they did make that movie a couple years ago, the Don't Look Up, and how nobody believed it or whatever. But I was sitting there and I watched it and I'm like, I mean, would you tell anybody?
Right.
What's the point?
No.
Like, you just, hey, we can't do anything. Everybody's going to panic and run and...
Yeah. No, you don't tell anybody till it becomes so obvious. Like when there looks like there's a second sun in the sky, you're like, all right, look, here's
hey, what's
deal.
that? Well, it is a meteor. Yeah, we've got about a day.
Right. But by then, the government's already secreted away who they think the most valuable people in society are and giving them supplies. So now you can just loot all you want.
It's where they go to the compound in Antarctica that they won't tell us about.
Right.
Yeah. It's so weird how it's like sometimes conspiracy theories, you're like, well, this kind of makes sense. And then sometimes you're like, wait, what?
Right.
And then, I don't know. You don't know where to believe.
Like, this seems extra complicated.
That's, oh, man. Conspiracy theories to me are like when I was growing up, my parents told me, he's like, you never talk about sex, money, or politics. It's bad taste.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you don't know who you're going to offend. But now that's all anybody ever talks about, it seems like, is how much money do you make?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. This is the porn I like, and this is the conspiracy, or whatever. So it's like conspiracy theories are the one things that everybody, no matter what you think politically, everyone believes in at least one.
Right.
You know?
Yep. There's one that you're like, okay, that's it.
And the thing is, a lot of them are probably true. Like, it's, it's so crazy that it seems like in the last 10 years, that's the people that we all like shunned, like, oh, aliens. Oh, this guy believes in aliens.
Like,
and then it's like,
well,
no, that might be real.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So now when someone brings up lizard people, I'm like, sure, why not?
That's why with some of the conspiracy theories, I'm like, why are you inventing this? There are so many things that are probably there.
Yeah,
right? Like you get Pizzagate, which is like proven to not be any kind of real. And like now, again, like this past couple of weeks, they've tried to like revive it. Again, I'm like, okay, we don't need Pizzagate. You literally have like the Tuskegee experiment.
Yeah, there's like, so many cool things there's so many real things you could look at.
Yeah,
and
I don't know. Do you believe in aliens? Do you I know, like the CIA.
Sure.
They could exist. I don't think we'd ever see them.
It's more fun to. I'd like to. I mean, I also believe in dragons.
Yeah.
I think those were real at one point.
There was something.
Yeah, there's something. Every culture around the world around the same time period had depictions of large lizards. Right. And it's like, they didn't have the internet. They couldn't communicate with each other. Maybe it existed.
Right.
I'd rather live in a world where that was real than it wasn't, Keep the magic
I don't know if
alive.
I want to live in a dragon world.
No.
I've seen Reign of Fire.
Yeah, that was an underrated movie. That was
great.
I loved it.
It is definitely like, it would suck.
Oh, wow. Yeah. If we suddenly weren't the top of the food chain anymore, that would be horrific.
Trying to fight a giant armor-plated flying fire-breathing lizard with an Apache helicopter. Good luck.
That was the part that got me when they were like, oh, we jump out of the sky.
Right.
And all they do is like their bait for a dragon.
Yeah.
Like I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And instantly like 3 of them just hit the ground and you're like,
Dragon's like, fuck you, Blue Thunder.
Yeah.
That's a dated reference. I'm sorry. Airwolf, is that better?
Airwolf, Blue Angels. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Well, we're getting back into some holiday questions now, but what's your favorite type of holiday food? Are you going for like the big feast of everything?
Yeah.
Are you doing like an appetizer smorgasbord, or are you going like just trashy gas station, let's load up on stuff and snack?
Man. You know what my favorite holiday food ever is? That rye bowl that you hollow out, and you have your parents do this. Maybe it's just like a white trash thing. You take a big rye that you get from like the grocery store that you never buy any other time of the year, but it's like a round loaf of rye. You hollow out the center. You tear up all the bread you took out of the center. You put it on a plate next to it, and then you fill the center with like French onion dip, and then you add dill to it. Oh, I could eat that forever. So I love that. Smokies and barbecue sauce. Just like little smoked sausages.
The little Vienna sauce. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and like a crock pot.
Yeah, crock pot with that. So those.
Okay, so you're like an appetizer, kind of like let's have 19 different appetizers, and we'll just pick at it.
All that stuff you don't make for any other occasion. Like a crock pot full of Velveeta and chili.
Yeah, buffalo chicken dip,
like
stuff like that.
Everything else around the holidays, you could cook any other time of the year.
But you don't.
You don't. It's those little like things you shouldn't eat. Probably like those are my jam.
I almost do. I almost only do the turkey now, just because it's like, we have to. Right. You know what I mean? But I don't actually enjoy it all that much.
No?
I would much rather have, like you said, like the finger foods and the I want some club sandwiches. I want some like little, or like the little tea sandwiches.
Yeah.
I mean, like shish kebabs and stuff
pinwheels.
Like that. Yes, exactly. A good pinwheel. Oh man.
If I had any common sense, I would make pinwheels every day and eat them. Like, there's almost nothing there, so they can't be too bad for you, right? They're filling. Like, you could eat 6 or 7 of those little wheel things and be like, all right, that's a good meal.
One thing I don't know if I've ever given enough respect to deviled eggs.
You gotta love deviled eggs. You gotta eat them.
I think the first time when I was a kid, I remember I picked one up one time, and I was like, oh, it's cold. And I just put it down, and I was like, all right, I'm good with that.
I don't like a warm deviled egg. Because some places sell them kind of like warm, and I'm like, oh no.
Now as an adult, I know that it wouldn't make sense to have a warm or a hot deviled egg.
But they serve them warm in some restaurants. Yeah, there's a barbecue place locally that serves their deviled eggs, and they're just above room temperature because they put like a piece of pork belly on top.
Oh.
And I'm guessing that reheats it. And it tastes great, but I'm like, man, you should really take more care to make sure the deviled egg is like ice cold and the pork belly is like warm, and that contrast would be so good. But I also don't like when they're too savory. Like if people forget there's supposed to be like a tang to them. Like I'm a devil egg I'm picky with my devil eggs.
You're a connoisseur. Yeah. Okay, all right.
And I also like, you can't go wrong just not fucking with it. Just do a classic.
Just do it the way.
Yeah. Yolk, mustard, mayonnaise, a little bit of relish.
Paprika.
Put paprika on the top. Yeah. Put a bottle of hot sauce next to it.
Oh, see, I have to have hot sauce.
Yeah.
If I was gonna, if we do best condiment, it's got to be hot sauce.
What kind? What's your hot sauce of choice? What's your hot sauce of choice?
My hot sauce of choice. I love sriracha.
Yeah.
It's just, there's something about it. I've tried a bunch of the different brands now.
That's what I was wondering. Are you the hot cock kind of?
Well, the Rooster one is pretty. That's a classic. You can't go wrong with it. However, there are better versions.
Totally.
The Tabasco one's not bad. Really? Although I feel a little dirty eating Tabasco.
That's brand. A little like bus driver wearing a geisha outfit.
Yeah, right? That's a little. Yeah, exactly. It seems a little sacrilegious almost.
Yeah.
But Kikkoman brand, the people that make the soy sauce, they have a sriracha.
Okay.
And it's a little squatty fat bottle like this with a black cap, and I think that's the ultimate.
I'll try that.
It's good. So good. It's so good. You could get it at Walmart for a while. I don't know but I bet if you.
Yeah.
I bet you up here there's 1,000 places.
Oh, sure.
If there's a Pacific market or something like that.
Yeah. Do you shop in the city, like for groceries? There's a place we have called Jay's. It's an international store, but it's like it's not fancy, right? Like you think international stores and you're like, oh, this is where the yuppies go to buy their kimchi and stuff. But you walk in, it mostly smells like a slaughterhouse. I'm sorry if you love Jay's, I love it, but this is an accurate description.
We love Jay's.
Yeah, I'm not trying to put the place down. I know they try hard, but you could tell they have their own fish place like inside of it where they slice up all their fish, and the guts are probably somewhere in the back. You can smell it.
That's how it's good. Yes, exactly.
That's how I know it's fresh.
Exactly.
That's what I'm looking for.
There's nothing wrong with I don't know.
But if you go in, you can find an entire wall full of like hot sauces and like a huge section that's nothing but srirachas and stuff.
Oh, I
And
love
it's
it.
crazy. You can go in and like you can kind of guess what some things are because it's not made for like white people to come in and buy stuff. It's made for people to look for stuff from their culture. So the labels aren't in English ever. So you could buy ramen that is like so hot you'll die and just not know it till you get home. And it's a great like kind of roulette to play with yourself.
There should almost be like a chart, you know,
Yeah.
like be like, hey, if your skin looks like this,
Right?
you probably should just stick to this flavor.
Like
you
when
know?
you go to the Thai place and you say Thai hot, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, I'll give you Thai hot, right? Okay,
Yeah, okay.
And it comes back and you're like, "Oh man, they got me."
But have you ever had the reverse of that? Where you're like, no,
Yes.
no, I like it spicy, and they're like, are you sure? And you're like, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
I'm trust me, I'm good with it. And you're like, oh my gosh,
You know what I
and
do?
you're just crying.
I stoically finish every bite and wait till I get home to cry.
I'll get
You won't
through it.
win. Yeah.
And I'll just, and they come around and they're like, are you sure you're
Yeah.
okay? And I'll be like, yeah, oh, it's so delicious.
My
Thank you."
in-laws are Mexican, so when I started like meeting them, it was always a game to give the white boy hot sauce and see when he flinches, and I refused.
I refuse.
Like I ruined some meals and my stomach lining just refusing to back down.
Yeah.
Like I would get stuff and then they would be like, "Oh no, I'm not using it." I'm like, "Fuck you, man."
because you're a man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're gonna die on. I respect it.
The worst part of that though is that then it becomes expected. Like once they stop playing with you, they're just like, "Oh, he just likes extra spicy stuff." So now everything you get is like that.
Let's see. We'll get one or two more in here.
Do 'em all.
Do 'em all.
Make a 5-hour podcast.
Oh, movie with the best soundtrack. Are you a movie
Oh,
guy?
yeah.
Or are you more
Yeah.
okay?
I love movies. I love soundtracks.
Yeah.
That's a tough one too because there's so many good ones. The Crow. If you're into '90s music, it's The Crow. Like there's no soundtrack captures an era that the movie was made in, not an era like the movie's pretending to be from.
Okay.
Than the Crow soundtrack. It's not all great music. There's stuff on there that today I'm just like, oh god, I can't believe I listened to this. But as a snapshot of the time it was made and the mood of the movie, you'll never find a better soundtrack than The Crow. Best soundtrack for a movie that pretends to be from an era, Dazed and Confused.
Oh, that's a good
The
one.
Dazed and Confused soundtrack is amazing for like classic rock lovers. And the best soundtrack of a movie that the soundtrack has no business being as good as it is, Natural Born Killers. Those are my old movie versions of soundtracks. Natural Born Killers is like all over the place. It's got hip hop, it's got techno on it. I think it's produced by Trent Reznor. So that's why it's kind of like all over, but you can definitely feel like it's an Interscope project. So you can feel like all their artists kind of like bouncing around in it. And it's got little clips from the movie in which I hate. You shouldn't do that. Don't do it. We don't need it. We'll watch the movie if we want clips from the movie. But otherwise, it's a good one.
I gotta go. I think I have mixed feelings about this movie, and it's definitely pretending to be from a time period or whatever.
Yeah.
But Remember the Titans?
Yeah.
The soundtrack was fantastic.
Yeah.
We had that. That was one of the few CDs my dad had in his car. He had Boz Scaggs. He had Temptations. He had Backstreet Boys, Black and Blue,
Oh, man.
and the Remember the Titans
That's
soundtrack.
got to be my age.
No, he is. I think
I love it.
he's at a point. Let me just put it this way: he's at an age where I think he would be upset if I said how old he actually
Yeah.
is.
That's
But
adorable.
that was his thing. He really
it.
liked a couple Backstreet Boys songs, and then Boz Scaggs, the Temptations, and stuff like that. Those were things. I think Boz Scaggs was like his college years.
Right.
So it's like he was like, all right, I like the Temptations when I was little. I like Boz Scaggs here. I like the Backstreet Boys now. And then Remember
Yeah.
the Titans soundtrack. And that was it.
Are you old enough to remember the period of time where every movie soundtrack said produced by the RZA? Like not just for the soundtrack, but for the movie itself.
No.
Like the movie wasn't great, but they were like soundtrack produced by the RZA.
Yeah.
Like there were a couple movies where they were just terrible. There was one with shit, I can't even remember who it was called. Unchained or something like that. and I can't remember who was in it, but it's a martial arts kind of movie about a guy who was kept in a dog collar by the Yakuza and sent off to fight.
Yeah.
I think DMX is in it.
Yeah, I remember that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack's produced by the RZA. And I remember every commercial and poster said soundtrack by the RZA, score by the RZA. And I was like, all right, we'll go see it. And the movie was terrible, but it had great actors in it. Like,
ironically, that was probably one of the last movies I think I rented from Blockbuster.
yeah.
That's like that. So it's weird that you know how you say like you bring something up and it's like a snapshot of that period of time. That movie, I remember seeing the preview on the like display screen in the store that they would play trailers on all day, and I was like, "Ooh, that looks cool. This guy's been chained up his whole life, and then that's gonna be fun." And yeah, terrible movie, but
horrible.
Yeah,
it turns into like some Romeo and Juliet send up.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, come on.
Oh man.
So I don't know. If you go hip hop, best soundtracks obviously Straight Outta Compton because it's just Straight Outta Compton.
Oh yeah, you can.
That's easy. You flip it, like you get into that. Like I liked the '80s soundtracks from hip hop movies like Crush Groove and Beat Street and stuff. Like I'm not even old enough to appreciate those at the time. But like when I was in high school, like that was the thing to do was to find those older soundtracks and listen to those and claim you were way cooler than all the people listening to current music.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I think that's still the thing to do.
Yeah,
I think that's
hope so.
My daughter does that.
Good.
She came home from the mall the other day with an AC/DC shirt, and I was like, have you listened to AC/DC? She's like, I mean, I like them. You know, I really like a couple of their songs. And I'm like, okay,
all
right.
Gatekeep your daughter? You're like, name 6 AC/DC
No,
songs.
I just go ahead. Whatever. So long as, I mean, I can't get too mad about it, though, because it's like, all right, cool. Well, at least you're exploring new stuff.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like, now she is a huge Taylor Swift fan, and I kind of roll my eyes, and she's like, "Her music is so good," and I'm like, "I'm glad you like it. Yeah. I'm glad that you've found a healthy thing that you can get fan out about, you know." But then again, I am 33 years old, and I love Japanese cartoons, and so there have been so many times where she's like, "Why are you watching this?" I'm like, "Leave me alone, all right? I like superpowers, and I like." Who cares? Yeah, leave me alone.
You can love Taylor Swift all you want. I liked Young MC at one point.
Yeah. Okay.
What was that one? Through a bunch of actors.
We've got best actresses. I just tried to get a different group of people. We've got
wrong. Yeah. There's no Helen Mirren up there. Dame Helen Mirren.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
I'm not a huge fan of Meryl Streep.
No.
Yeah, Dame Helen Mirren.
Yeah, she can get it.
She's still just. She's man, she's beautiful in one of those like, I know I'm better than you type ways, but I'm too polite to say it.
Yep.
And that to me, I was like, oh, she's beautiful.
When you cast her in something where it's like a surprise that she would ever do that movie, I'm always like, oh yeah.
I have a feeling that she glides. Cool. She doesn't actually walk. She just glides. Yeah.
1 inch above the ground.
Her and Judi Dench, I believe, they just kind of like, you know. I'm not a huge Meryl Streep fan, actually. I get it. She's good.
Yeah.
She's good. But I think she knows it.
She does.
I would bet that if you interviewed Meryl Streep for a long enough period of time, you would see like she and Kanye are on the same level of I'm the greatest and no one can tell me. I bet you she's I don't know. Maybe I'm just projecting onto her.
She's always her character in Devil Wears Prada to me.
Yes.
She's always that where I'm like, all right, I'd probably put up with you, but I think I would always hate you.
I would always I want your approval, but I would hate what I have to do to get it.
Like when you die, you're the person I go, you know what? I never liked her, but she was fair.
I think Viola Davis is probably my favorite from this list.
Oh, man. That's a tough choice.
Yeah, it is a tough choice. I don't know. It's such a hodgepodge of actresses. Like, I was like, I need to get some from all different age ranges and like different backgrounds and stuff. So it's like a real, you know, it's not just I couldn't do like Julia Roberts, Drew Barrymore, Reese Witherspoon or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, because it's like,
I just listened to Julia Roberts getting roasted on a podcast for that new Netflix movie she's in.
Oh, really?
She lost all her best actress qualities from just based. I haven't even seen the movie yet.
I've seen it. It's not great.
It was 100% what the podcast just kept saying. It's like, how do you get money from the Obamas and make this piece of shit?
It's so
like
it could be good.
Yeah,
it could have been really good, but they really just
that was the most levied criticism of it. Of that could have been good. Why did you do this?
Well,
that could have been good.
You don't like any of the family,
right?
Like the whole the family or whatever. She's so unlikable. Yeah. She's so mean that the other characters are even saying it.
Right.
She's like, "Oh, I'm in PR relations or whatever," and they go, "Huh, that's strange," right. Like that because they're like, "You are such a bad person," you know.
I haven't even seen the movie, but just from hearing the clips, I'm like, I might watch it. For if you're wondering, this is Leave the World Behind on Netflix.
Oh yeah. So I guess we should tell what people
know so they don't go watch Aaron Brockovich.
Also,
yeah, a great movie. Also, apparently, Aaron Brockovich not a good person in real life.
Surprise!
Yeah. Or the chick from The Blind Side. Oh, that's Sandra Bullock, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. All those white actresses look alike.
Yeah, all white people look the same. The best actors.
Pedro Pascal's not up there.
No,
he's new. He's not new, but he's newer phenomenon.
Yes, he's newer
as a phenomenon.
I gotta be honest, I'm not a huge fan of him, and this is gonna sound terrible. I judge him on his beard.
You're lucky you already have someone who has sex with you.
I know. I am sure that
judge him on his beard.
I judge him on his beard. He's got a scraggly beard. It makes it hard for me to believe that he's this like manly macho like. I'm gonna save the day, and I'm like, well, you could. I mean, I don't know.
Do you not think that an unkempt beard makes him more manly and macho because he doesn't have a lot of time to primp?
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, it's just because it is. If you look, it's like wispy on the sides. I'm like, it wouldn't take any time for you to shave that
off.
Yeah.
That's your military background.
I know. It's like if you're gonna see, like, look at Oscar Isaac's beard right here. It is. Magnanimous, lofty and king-like, you know.
Although now I only see cartoon characters when I see them. Like, there's a point where you do too much voice work.
Have you seen that thing where he went on Jimmy Fallon and he sang about a hippopotamus?
No.
He's so clearly just zoinked out on something that he's just like, I don't know. It's the strangest interaction I've ever seen, and Jimmy's just kind of like, okay, and he gets like people to clap along, but the whole time he's like, "What is this about?" You know.
Denzel. On this list, I'm going with Denzel. Like always, Denzel, no matter what.
Knock on wood, man. I hope he stays like drama free.
Yeah.
You know.
Also, I heard the movie we were just discussing. He walked away from the project. And the rumored reason is because he's got the thing where he doesn't kiss white women on camera. And they were like, well, he's gonna have to get it on with Julia Roberts. And he's like, nah, not doing it. Like, you gotta respect it. Not for any like racist reason. Focus groups don't like it when Denzel kisses white women. There's like a proven track record of focus groups. There was the movie.
That's so strange.
What was it? The Pelican? No, it was before Pelican Brief.
Okay, that would be another Julia Roberts.
Right. So that movie, Julia Roberts came out and said that's where she outed him as saying like he had them remove all the like sex scenes or like romantic scenes because he didn't want to do that with Julia Roberts. And so some movie before that, they were focus grouping. And there's a part where he kisses the co-lead, who's a white woman, and the audience just booed because they're like, Denzel's ours. And you got to appreciate an actor who's like, you know what? I'm not going to piss my people off.
Exactly. I mean, he's playing to his audience. Yeah. And that's, I kind of respect.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to say you respect, but at the same time, like, I don't know. Yeah, he knows his audience, and he knows.
I just think from a man's perspective, he's been in some movies with some lead actresses where, like, your average dude be like, I would take every chance I could to kiss that person. And he's just like, nah.
No, I just don't think it's going to work.
He's just like licking those lips going, no. That's how you know Denzel's about to kill somebody in a movie, by the way. The moment he licks his lips, that person's dying. Man on Fire.
And he does a little smirk. Oh, yeah. Man on Fire is such a great
Best movie.
I remember the first time I showed that to my wife. She was like, "Why have you never showed me this movie?" And I was like, "I didn't think you'd like it because it's kind of graphic, or whatever." And she's like, "I love this movie."
Oh my God, it is so good. Like I don't like torture porn, but I will let him get away with whatever he wants to in that movie because it's so believable. You're like, don't piss off Denzel.
That's another great soundtrack.
Yeah.
That's another great soundtrack. And it's Ridley Scott as well, isn't it? Or is it his brother?
Or is it, no, it's the other Scott. Yeah,
Tony Scott.
Yeah.
But he uses some of the same songs in Man on Fire that they use in Gladiator.
Right.
And especially kind of like the
maybe it is. It's Scott Free Productions for sure.
So I know it's one of them.
Yeah.
But oh man,
it's so good.
I forgot.
Apparently the book's really good. I've never read it.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. I didn't know this, but it's a remake.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Denzel Washington version is a remake, and I'm trying to remember who's in the first version.
Watch it.
And oh man, I can't.
Whoever it is, that poor person. It's like.
Yeah, because they
that's not yours anymore.
I think about that like with Dolly Parton giving the song to
the I Will Always Love You.
Yes, and it's just like, ooh,
yeah.
Like she's got to admit, like it's yours now.
That almost became an Elvis song.
Really?
Yeah. So Dolly Parton wrote it and was going to sell it to Elvis, but there was the thing Elvis did where he would want all the rights to it, no matter what. Like Dolly would not make any money off of it after selling it to him. He would own the rights, and no one else could record it after. And Dolly Parton was like, "You know what? I'm gonna keep it." Because she's smart.
Yeah, she is very smart. But
I don't know why I know this.
She gave it to Whitney Houston, right?
Yeah.
And then Whitney Houston took it, and
But she gets money every time Whitney sang it too.
That's
and every
true.
Time it played. Like with Elvis, it wouldn't have happened. So
that's a pretty good deal. But I do feel like she has to admit, like, Whitney perfected it.
That's
I wrote it. She crushed
Johnny
it.
Cash with Hurt.
Oh,
he performed it, and Trent Reznor once in a Fresh Air interview told Terry Gross on NPR, "See, I'm smart." Was like, "That's not my song anymore. That's Johnny Cash's song." And it's like, yes, good job, Trent.
How it should be.
Yeah,
how it should be. Like, oh, you did it better.
Right.
I do. It does sometimes annoy me when somebody covers a song, and it's like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Like I heard someone. What's the country guy's name? He just did Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. And I listened to it, and I was like, you should be ashamed, sir.
That, yeah.
You should be ashamed of yourself. That's disgusting.
Who would do that? Yeah,
right?
That's terrible.
And it's not better. He took a swing. I mean, I guess I respect him for taking a swing, but no. No.
I heard, I don't normally listen to The Point, but I was in my wife's car, and she doesn't have satellite radio, and my phone's not paired to it. So I had to listen to something. And I heard a remake of Zombie by the Cranberries. By some, it's not Five Finger Death Punch, but it sounds like it could be Five Finger Death Punch. Because it's like some dude that goes, this song needs like a guy growling during it. No. I'm like, no, this was a perfect song already.
Yeah.
The only big difference is now I can understand all the lyrics. Because there's no Irish accent. But how dare you cover Dolores O'Riordan?
Yeah, that's... oh, man.
Is that best Marine Corps base?
Oh yeah. Because I did an episode with Will O'Donnell and one of my buddies who was in the Marines, and we did one for the Marine Corps birthday episode.
That's the two-parter. I saw that.
We did a whole bunch.
Only two of those though are involved in some major class action lawsuits.
Well, this one will be soon.
Yeah,
I promise you. Within the next 10, 15 years, this one is going to do the exact same thing. You know, the whole water thing? Camp 29 Palms, this one, and Camp Pendleton will soon follow.
Okay.
I'm sure.
Then there'll be one safe Marine base.
Well, we'll see about that.
Remember the year that there were multiple helicopter crashes at
Yes, I do.
Camp Lejeune, right? Yeah.
Well, Camp Lejeune, Camp Pendleton, Hawaii.
Yeah. You found out people flying helicopters never learned to not get near power lines and shit.
Yeah, well, and
Like
again, the government.
Yeah, no, cheapest possible contractor building
lowest
a thing.
bidder.
Yeah. What's the line from what is that? Armageddon. Steve Buscemi is like, "How do you guys feel about being on a giant explosive rocket designed by the lowest bidder?"
My favorite from that movie Armageddon, Ben Affleck pulled Michael Bay aside and was like, "Hey, wouldn't it be easier to teach astronauts how to drill than to teach drillers how to be astronauts?" And he goes, "Shut up."
Yeah.
And walked away. And that was
there wouldn't be a movie, man.
Yeah, I just like that. Shut up. That's the best. There's a couple. Let's see. Some of these my kids picked, so it's like.
Wait, is this Crunchwrap Supreme versus a Quesarito?
Oh no! Just if we're gonna go straight Mexican food,
okay.
Tacos versus burritos versus quesadilla.
Taco.
Which one's the best?
Taco. Most versatile. Everything else is a version of a taco.
Yeah.
And plus, I've had a birria quesadilla. It's nowhere near as good as a birria taco.
No, it's not.
Yeah, and
it's not.
That sums it up for me.
I always get confused. I always panic at the last moment when I want to order those because
Yeah.
I'm like, is it birria? Is it birria? Is it biaria?
They'll sell it to you regardless.
I know. One time, so I went to this Mexican place by our base one time, and I got this burrito, and my buddy was there, and he was like, "Ooh, dude, that looks so good. What is it?" And I was like, "I don't know. I think she called it a pinche gringo." And so he went up and asked for it. He's like, "Can I get the pinche gringo?" And they all just started dying laughing.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, you get your meal for free at that point.
Yeah. I just gave him a thumbs up in the background, like, ah.
There is a place in Vegas, when I'm in Vegas, on Fremont Street that is a late night place. They're open till like 4 a.m. on the weekends.
Is Fremont like old Vegas kind of? Okay, yeah.
Like it's the one now with the giant LED like roof on it that shows you.
With the zip line or whatever that goes over it. Yeah, okay.
And I think that's old Vegas, right?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. I haven't been there in 10 years.
Yeah, that Diamond Gems or whatever casino. I don't do a lot of casinos.
The Cowboy or whatever.
Yeah,
and then there was the Golden Nugget and stuff.
Yep.
And last time I was there, old Vegas was kind of getting pushed down.
Right.
There's like Circus was still there, and the Sahara just closed.
Right.
And they were breaking it down. And
Fremont has the D now.
Okay.
Which I forget what it was before, but it's just the D Hotel, which is so silly that they call it that. But across from it, this birria place, they do birria ramen.
Oh.
And there is nothing better at 2 a.m. than going over there and getting like a birria taco and some birria ramen.
Oh.
It's just that broth and ramen noodles, and it's so good.
And probably just like cheese or something on top. Yeah, I've seen videos of it on Instagram. Yeah. That's my late night thing. Is I'll stay up late just scrolling through chicken Alfredo pizzas and birria ramen and buffalo chicken tacos and
sounds great.
And you're just all like, yeah. Let's see. We'll get.
Man, I feel bad for all the people with low blood sugar who are listening to this.
Oh, I know. Yeah, my daughter snuck this one in here. I had her. She was like, and so I was sitting here. I was sitting here with Ronaldo and Ben Johnson, and we scrolled through. And they go, "Oh, what's this one?" And I was like,
You do favor each other there."
Yeah. Well, she was trying to get. She thought it would be funny if all my friends were like, "Oh, well, obviously you're not the best one of these." But then Ronaldo was like, she's just looking for who the best dad would be. Oh, I don't know. So you're a little bit older than me, so I don't know if this falls within your...
Good bit older than you, I think.
But, yeah. Did you have a good after school with these... were these after your time?
No. Like, 2 of them are definitely my time.
If you're
Boy
listening...
Meets World is kind of my time.
Yeah.
Because I had younger brothers.
If you're listening, we've got Saved by the Bell, Boy Meets World, and Full House on the screen. And to pick the best one...
Yeah.
I mean...
So for me, it's not Boy Meets World. That was the thing I watched just because I had little brothers who watched it. But I get why some people would choose it because I've seen the thing where they point out that Boy Meets World happens in a universe where magic is real. Just based on some episodes. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, that's a good argument.
I've never heard that.
Yeah. There's a few episodes where like things happen and people just accept it. And that's just proof. Magic happens in the Boy Meets World universe. Saved by the Bell does not happen in a magical universe because Zach is never actually stopping time. That's just happening in his mind, and he's having a psychotic break. Full House, man, that's tough. Saved by the Bell, I think, is what I would choose as the best.
I think Saved by the Bell as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I loved Mr. Feeney.
Yeah.
You know, he was the teacher everyone wanted to have.
He was the father everybody wanted to have.
Exactly.
The dad on Boy Meets World is fine, right? I forget his name.
He's okay. Yeah,
he's okay, but
Alan.
Yeah, anytime you can go next door and get a better dad. It's like, all right.
a slightly British better dad. Yeah.
It's like, hold on, let me go ask Kit what he thinks about this problem.
Yeah. When you live next door to Knight Rider, that's awesome.
Could you imagine how frustrated it had to be that dad?
Yeah, your kids are always like, let me go ask my principal.
What would you do?
Let me go ask the dean of my college. And how did he get promoted as they went up in grades?
Oh, well,
you know, that's just the perfect. I guess that's the magic.
That's the magic
of the Boy Meets World universe.
Although I guess didn't Mr. Belding follow the Saved by the Bell people to college for at least like a short period before they realized that made no sense. Full House. Full House has a warm spot in my heart because Fuller House. I was wine drunk on watching like 2 seasons of Fuller House one year when I got a call from Helium to come open on New Year's Eve for Chris Titus. And so Fuller House is always going to be associated with Christopher Titus to me. And so it gets a warm spot, but also it's
Do you think Christopher Titus would be okay with you associating?
Okay,
no. I was about
you
to
talk
say.
About a story I never told him that weekend.
I was about to say.
I feel comfortable saying it because he'll never see this.
Yeah, no. I'm actually going to clip that and send it directly to him. You're listening, Christopher. I got him.
He was fun to watch. He's one of my people, like as far as like comics I like growing up. So he was fun to watch, but on his podcast, he was just joking about the club because it was like New Year's Eve. So, you know, and Helium was going through a lot of turnover at the time. Mm-hmm. So there were a lot of issues and he was going through. And one of the things is like, oh, yeah, it was just bad. And like, you know, there was a smelter place. So probably the opener used the green room to take a shit or something. I'm like, I did not.
That is the most... Shout out to Nicholas Kuvar, a.k.a. Blind Nick. But I have seen him on more than one occasion walk into a green room and take a shit in the bathroom. And it's like, dude, that is the biggest dick energy I've ever seen in my entire life.
He gets to do it because he's blind, though. Right? Like, what's the headliner going to do?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I guess.
What's the headliner going to do? Going to be like, hey, man.
I feel awkward peeing.
Feel your way out. Yeah.
If there's a bathroom in the green room, I feel very awkward peeing there. Like, wow, this is our like communal space. I'll just go to the other one, you know?
This is my old dudeness. I will only pee if it's a male opener. If it's a male headliner.
Exactly.
If it's a woman headliner, no. I won't pee there. Like that's a small door.
That's disrespectful.
Yeah, that seems like an aggressive
I'm so
act.
Sorry. Also,
I don't care if she does. It's her green room.
Well, yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. Of course. Anything because first of all, men and women bathrooms are very different. Yeah. And I don't want to like this is for you. So you don't have to go out and mingle with people. Right. Like, it's not for me.
I mean, when I visited my grandma when she was alive, I very rarely peed in her house. Like, I try to hold it. Like, I don't want to sully her bathroom. So,
no, exactly. Exactly. And that's grandma. She wouldn't have cared.
Right. Not at all. But
no. You can't do that. Yeah. If there's a also, I think I would just be insecure. Like, what are they judging my stream? Like, can they hear this? Because sometimes you're peeing and you don't realize how loud it is, like to the people outside the door, and you're like, I'm so sorry, everyone had to hear that. Yeah.
Or what if you're vocalizing while you pee?
Yeah.
And you don't know.
One of the greatest bits from The Naked Gun is when Leslie Nielsen gives the speech at town hall and then goes to the bathroom and forgets his mic's on. And it's just a long, drawn-out pee, and he's like, like that.
Didn't that just happen to, like, Matt Gaetz or something?
It happened. It's probably happened to, like, 9 people.
Yeah, well, the era of Zoom, yeah.
I know that I saw one recently where they interviewed somebody in a prison once about, like, a crime. And while he went to the bathroom, he forgot to take his mic off. And he's like, they don't know I actually killed all those people.
Was
and then
HBO.
they like caught. And it was like...
That was on HBO. That was The Jinx. That guy, like, he got away with it until that. And then, the big controversy was, like, should they have turned him in as soon as they recorded that? Or
yeah,
was it,
I didn't think
was
about
it
that
moral
till
to
just
wait?
now. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we could turn it. That's like the people that film Bigfoot, and they're like, well, we're not going to
Yeah.
tell anybody till.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like I don't know. After certain presidents are done, not to get political, but like everybody comes out with this book on, I saw him break the law 5 times. And it's like, okay, so you waited until you could write a book?
Yeah, what?
Like, come on, man.
Well, that guy wrote a book and said, I know who killed Tupac.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, now you have to tell us.
Right.
He's like, oh, I didn't think this one through.
Yeah, his agent should have like coached him a little
Well,
better.
we did an hour and 45 minutes almost.
All right.
Yeah, that it went a lot faster
fast,
than
yeah.
The last
fun.
thing I always ask, well, first off, plug any shows you got or any dates or just your social media if you want.
Yeah,
and we
when do you think you put this up? Let's
probably, I think like next week.
next
probably.
week? Okay, if it's next week, all right, here we go. Hey, that's the most fake transition. January, I hate plugging. Like,
I do too.
I want people to come out.
That's why I always film an intro afterwards.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, hey, I sat down today with Chris and we talked about this and this.
That's
You know
cool.
what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
feel like if I do it first thing, it kind of like
right.
it gets into like this fake energy or whatever. But
Let's see, January 17th. January 17th, I'm on Story Collider. That's NPR's like storytelling show.
Oh, that'd be fun.
It's called Kaleidoscope. This one, it's about like looking at who you are versus like how you're perceived. And I'm going to talk about spending my teenage years in the fundamentalist Christian church and being told that Star Trek: The Next Generation was a satanic show and I shouldn't watch it, and how that affect my views of science. That'll be a hoot. And then on the 24th, I'm at locally, 24th, Golden Hoosier. For Molly Ambergay's, Ambergay. I always say Ambergay because it's Spanish to me.
Uh-huh.
And I've known Molly for years. I know how to say her
Ambergay?
name. Ambergay, yeah.
Ambergay?
Moliere.
Yeah.
For, Casually Happening comedy show. I'm going to headline that, and that'll be a fun time. So people should come out and see that for sure.
She's on the episode that comes out right before yours.
Oh, so.
Yeah.
Hey, Molly, how you doing back there?
Yeah.
No, I think that's all I've got locally for the rest of the month.
What's your Instagram?
Oh, Instagram is Chris D, as in David Sear. There is another comic named Chris Sear. He's a cool dude. Totally follow him. You'll know he's not me once you look at the picture here.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. We look very different. But yeah, Chris D Sear on Instagram. I have other socials that I just don't update as much. Like I update my Instagram and it all feeds there. So go there.
That's the Instagram is the one I'm mainly on. Everything else is kind of secondary.
My Instagram is mostly watching the evolution of jokes from me saying some dumb thing at an open mic up until it makes it into my actual set.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah,
The evolution of I could talk the evolution of jokes
it's great.
for days.
That's such a comedy nerd thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm always like I should put together like a master clip on YouTube of like because I record all my sets. So like of a joke from first time I say something all the way up to like when I said it in a headline set. And someone would watch that. That'd be 20 minutes of the same joke repeated. And I'm like, no one would want to see that.
Comics would watch it.
Exactly.
I'd watch it. I've always thought that it would be cool to do a podcast where you sit down with someone for like 5-10 minutes and you're just like, hey, let's both write a joke on this topic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could be a one-liner, it can be a story, it can be a pun, it can be whatever. You write it, we cut, you go out, you film it at like 3 different mics on like a Wednesday night, and then you come back at the end and you do another podcast where you're like, this is how it went, this is how I tried it out, and then you show the clips of like, hey, this is how that joke evolved just over the course of one night.
Yeah.
You know, based on different rooms, based on different audiences and stuff like that. I thought that would be fun. And then I was like, that's really inside baseball.
I'd watch it.
Yeah.
Like you said, comics definitely would
Comics
watch
would watch it, yeah, but I don't feel like it would have that much traction around.
We also like we're in the era of like shadow comics, right? Like it's it's not a race thing, but no, it's like people who don't do comedy but listen to all the comedy podcasts and read all the comedy books and listen to audiobooks and think they know how comedy works. So they would watch that because that would be more inside baseball for them to go back to their friends and be like, well, you know, like when that Chris Rock special came out, like he had to try that material at a lot of places.
Yeah. There's always that, that especially that famous Chris Rock bit everybody likes to bring up. He worked on that for 2.5 years before it was ready to take, you know.
He would show up with yellow legal pads at the cellar.
Yeah, but he's Chris Rock. He can do that. Like,
right.
Yeah. I've got a 7-minute set at the Funny Bone. I don't have time to flush this out.
No, I think that would be fun. Like, yeah, record them getting the topic, saying what they think is going to happen, then record them going out and doing the work, and then coming back and saying what actually happened.
Yeah, and just being like, by the third set, I just bailed on it completely because it just wasn't working. You
just
know,
watch some dreams get crushed.
Yeah, because not all of them are going to be great.
No.
Or sometimes you get to see like, hey, this joke worked really well at the first mic, but by the end of the night, people were not. It was just not working, or vice versa. You know, or. Because it's going to tweak and change every time you do it.
My favorite thing after shows when someone comes up and goes, oh, that material was so funny. It just seems like it was naturally funny. I was like, man, you should have seen the 900 times it did not work before I got it to the point where it did. And people in the audience are like, what? No, that would be funny no matter what. I'm like, no, man.
I'm having trouble now that I'm still working on a bit that it like involves my kids. And I started it like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And so it's like, the kid's grown up, you know. It's like, so how do I in the joke? Do I keep them at a certain age, or do I be like, I remember when my kid was, you know? It's like, okay, does it work better if it just happened, or is it better to be like, I remember this time, you know, or like, and it's painting the picture,
yeah. I have a joke that was actually about a friend of mine's kid, and I made it about my niece, so it'd be more personal. Mm-hmm. And I did the joke for so long that in the joke, my niece is 10. And, like, now my niece is in her, like, almost 20 or in her 20s. And so I just can't sell it anymore. So up until last year, I did it about my niece. Like, it's on my album as my niece. And then now I've just changed it back to a friend's kid. And I do it in passing. Because it's a hard choice, though. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's an ever-evolving, ever-changing thing.
Yeah.
The last question I ask everybody before they come on, what's the best way to fix or improve this podcast? If you have any suggestions.
Oh man, this camera angle sucks. I just can't see. I look like a Centauran from Doctor Who. I'm glad no one will get that reference. I just have no neck. No.
Also, that's why I grew the beard to help show some separation between face and body.
That's just my face, man. I like this. I don't know. Do it actually outside.
I would like to.
Yeah, go. Like, this is making me sad that I'm not actually in this location.
I do love being outside, and I wish that I could do it more, but it's so hard to control that environment with wind and, you know, equipment gets wet or whatever, and especially in the city. You never know. Doing a podcast, all of a sudden, can I get $1? And you're like, all right, well.
You could also try getting actual famous people instead of me. That would be good for you.
You know, I tried it, and it didn't work.
God damn.
Yeah. It was so weird. I had Guy Torry on, comedy legend and stuff, and I was so excited for the opportunity. And by the way, Guy, I am super grateful that if you're listening to this,
gives a lot of good. If you're a comic, you should watch it. It gives a lot of good comedy information.
I was just soaking it up. I felt like I did a terrible job as a podcaster because I was so just hooked on what he was saying that there were times he would get done speaking and I'd be like, yeah.
But that's how it should be.
And then we're like, oh shit, I gotta, what's the best sandwich? You know, like I was trying to.
That's self-awareness, knowing like somebody watching, like, they should hear what Guy Torry's saying.
I just told him in the beginning, I was like, hey man, I'm a huge comedy nerd, so I'm gonna be. Some of these questions are, hey, what's gonna be entertaining, and some of them are just like, I want to know, you know, like give me the secrets, you know.
What do you think you could do to make your podcast better?
I wish that I could get somehow to have more fan interaction.
Yeah.
You know, or more, like if people could submit their best questions, you know, like, cause I've come up with, you know, 150 or so, just, you know, hot sauces and Haagen-Dazs and, you know, cartoon characters and just throwing things together that might spark a fun conversation. But I would love it if I could get, you know, people to where they would be like, oh, what is the best war movie? What's the best, you know, reality TV show? What's the best, you know, like to get people interactive in it.
Right.
I like that. I think that's the next step, but that's
tough.
It is tough. Yeah.
People I've talked to, because I complain about my own social media interaction, because I'm like, it's non-existent. And what do you do? And people are always like, well, what you got to do is you got to create engaging posts. So like, you do stuff like that. You have questions you put out. Be ready for it not to hit, but then be ready for one where everybody you know wants to answer, and then it goes from there.
That's kind of what I've been doing with, because I put out the podcast and then I take clips, and I enjoy the clips that I put out.
Yeah.
And I always hope, one of them's going to spark, but then if it doesn't, the way I've been kind of like reassuring myself is, hey, you're just building a back catalog for when one does hit. Now people have all these things to go and enjoy later.
That's it. And then you also just got to be entertained by the sound of your own voice at some point, like to do these, right?
That was so hard when I first started, was watching this, because you have to film your sets, and then actually watching them is the hardest part. Especially a good bomb, where you're like,
it's like, I can hear it. Yeah.
Oh man, I heard the after that punchline. There's so many times where like I used to deliver jokes, and if it didn't go well, you could watch me go like that, like physically, like, oh, come on, man, yeah. And you're like, people can see that. I gotta stop doing that stuff. Yeah.
You get to where you don't care.
Yeah, you get to the point where you're like, no, okay,
it's like, we'll move on. Yeah, I got other jokes. Now this is fun. I did a podcast for years, and like it's had like the same, like, I don't know, 800 listeners for years, and it never got any bigger. Nothing ever went viral. But of those 800 listeners, like 10 would click like or do whatever. So you just gotta like keep pushing through that, I guess, and that's how you get to it.
I mean, I appreciate the people that I always appreciate the people that do listen.
Yeah.
Because every now and then I'll get a message from somebody and they're like, "Dude, I loved that podcast you did with it." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." I don't know. Yeah, like I had some shout out JJ Jackson. I don't know if you know him, open mic comedian.
No.
Kind of bounces around the city.
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. He's the one I once told, man, you can leave your wife. Super nice guy. He's got like a whole bit about like, being married, and I'm like, dude, you can just leave.
Buddy, you don't have to stay.
Like, no, I love her. Like, okay.
He told me one time that he was like, I sat down, I was just going to turn it off for a couple minutes. I ended up listening to the whole thing, and I was like, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
That's how it works.
All right.
Cool. All right.
Well, thanks again. I mean, thanks for doing it.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope you come back sometime if you have something to promote or anything.
Definitely.
Yeah. But guys, make sure you check out Chris. All right. I'll see you next week.
I have a neck in real life.